Good afternoon and welcome to RMU Live. Today is Monday, October 4th. I'm Julia Wozleski.
And I'm Aaron Fryer. Here's what's happening now.
Police are asking for help to find a 29-year-old Maxwell James Lester. State police reported that Lester was last seen in his home in Tuet, Pennsylvania at 1 p.m. on Monday, September 27th. He was last wearing, quote, a red shirt with black sleeves, darker tan pants, and white sneakers, end quote, and is 5'10" and 250 pounds and has brown hair, blue eyes, and a beard. His vehicle was located near Hickory Creek Wilderness of the National Forest. Please notify state police with any information. Police in Carrick responded to a crash along Becks Run Road this morning. First responders believe that the driver of one vehicle had fallen asleep at the wheel of their car and collided into another. One of the vehicles almost collided into a nearby home but just missed the building. There are no reported injuries so far.
On Saturday afternoon at 3:30 p.m., a crash occurred on the inbound lanes of I-376. The accident was on the Parkway East just by the Squirrel Hill Tunnel. There was one casualty, that being Michelle McIntosh, a 34-year-old that resided in Somerset. The state police are currently investigating the cause of the accident. A home in Beaver was decimated following a fire early Sunday morning. The house that burned was on the 3500 block on 4th Avenue in Beaver Falls. The fire broke out at around 2:45 a.m. with the residents still inside. Although there was a close call when one individual had to run through the fire in order to save his life and his dogs, everyone made it out safe and sound with no injuries. The Beaver Falls Fire Chief, Mark Stowe, said there were no working fire alarms.
A home fire was reported on Saturday night in the Sheridan neighborhood in Pittsburgh. It is unclear how the fire was started, but neighbors notified the authorities around 8 p.m., according to a spokesperson for Pittsburgh Public Safety. The home is reportedly the residence of an elderly couple. Officials mentioned that an officer had to pull someone out of the residence and they were taken to a local hospital. A woman was shot and killed in Pittsburgh's Sheridan district. The incident occurred overnight and was called in at 3 a.m. on Sunday morning. Officers responded to the call about shots fired at the 2700 block of Glen Mar Street and found the woman dead at the scene. The incident is still under investigation and no further details. Good luck to the class RMU students. Are you looking to receive a doctoral degree? RMU is allowing students to complete a new 3-for-3 degree at RMU. The new articulation program allows eligible biology students to get a doctorate at Northeast College of Health Science, formerly New York Chiropractic College in Seneca Falls, New York. The program allows students to finish their doctorate in 6 years rather than 7.
After a year-long hiatus, Robert Morris's homecoming dance is back this year. The dance will be held at the Alumni Commons gazebo this Friday, October 8th. The dance is free for all students, but tickets must be picked up in advance at the Student Life office. Remember to vote for Homecoming Queen and King on Revolution. One round of voting will take place on Wednesday, and the other round will be on Thursday. The homecoming game is also this Saturday, October 9th. Admissions is holding 2 Fall Discovery Days over the course of the next few months. The first will take place on Saturday, October 16th, as well as Saturday, November 10th. Both events will begin at 9 a.m. and will be held in the UPMC Event Center. High school students and transfer students alike will be able to talk to faculty and students while also getting to see all the academics and activities that RMU offers. If you know anybody interested in attending these Discovery Days, be sure to send them to the RMU website.
The Colonials were back in action this weekend.
Let's send it over to Sam Goldberg to tell us more.
Thanks, guys. RMU sports had a busy week. Let's grab a look at what happened for each team. Football got destroyed on the road against North Carolina A&T by a final score of 41-14. Quarterback George Martin was 17-31 for 1 touchdown and 1 interception on the game. Jalen Brown, wide receiver, led all receivers with 47 yards on the game. Men's soccer had a decent week as they picked up 1 win and 1 loss this week. They lost at home to Oakland by a score of 4-0, but they went on the road and beat Wright State by a score of 2-1. Both Ethan Romito and Gal Bendayan picked up their first goals of the season. Women's soccer had one match this week, and they suffered a brutal loss at home to the Norse of Northern Kentucky by a final score of 3-2. Kaoru Hayashi scored her second goal on the season, and Haley Fennell scored her fourth of the season as well. The Colonials are still looking for their first conference win. Volleyball played 2 matches this week. First, they fell to Purdue Fort Wayne by a score of 3-1. Alyssa Hudak had a great game. She had 13 kills for the Colonials. The volleyball team would turn their fortunes around as they would pick up a 3-0 victory over IUPUI. Annie Monaco had 14 kills in the game, and Emma Granger had a big day with 3 aces and 4 blocks. Big week for the Colonials. Now let's go back to the desk. What do you got for us?
If you're looking for more Colonial sports content, you can check out colonialsportsnetwork.com.
Or for the latest news taking place on and around campus, you can visit RMU-CentryMedia.com.
We've seen a hybrid of rain and sunshine this week.
Let's send it over to Jackie Rosta to tell us what we can expect to see today.
Thanks, guys. Let's take a look at today's forecast. Today is going to be a high of 72 degrees with a low of 61. 95% at humidity and 40% chance of rain today. For the hourly, it looks like it's going to be some rain today. 3 p.m. is going to be rainy at 72 degrees. The same with 6 p.m. It's going to be rainy at 70 degrees. And at 9 p.m. it's going to clear up a lot more at 66 degrees. Tomorrow's forecast is going to be also at 72 degrees with a low of 61, 95% humidity, and going to be a 60% chance of rain. Let's go back to the desk.
Thanks, Jackie. Coming up after the break, a special protest was held in Pittsburgh.
And schools are facing challenges from COVID-19 and from TikTok. Stay tuned to RMU Live.
Hey, Dad. I need your help asking Jessica to prom.
Of course. Love is like the ocean. You have to tread the
Oh,
waters.
Dad. That's not the kind of help I needed. Hey, Jessica. Will you go to prom with me?
Yes.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care can't wait to share their first with you.
Let me tell you about the toughest guy on earth. He has the crazy strength to lift the man that raised him up without even flinching. This guy, no, this warrior, will always be by his father's side, even if his dad will hardly remember. If this guy isn't the toughest guy on the planet, then I don't know who is. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies. Selfie, nailed it.
We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's put a ride home.
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out?
Listen.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
Saturday morning, hundreds of people gathered outside of the City-County building in downtown Pittsburgh in order to march for women's rights. Those present marched in order to preserve women's reproductive rights and ultimately their right to choose. Many other cities have their own march, as this Monday Supreme Court is reconvening. The marchers all were there to protect women's rights, and with them they carried a message in unity.
While the Democrats are dealing with divisions amongst themselves, President Biden says he's confident that the infrastructure bill will advance eventually. But for now, Biden's senior advisor Cedric Richmond says that there is no timetable for the proposal. John Lorink reports.
We're going to get it done.
President Biden staying optimistic as two major spending bills remain in limbo on Capitol Hill.
There is no reason why both these bills couldn't pass independently, except that they're not the votes to do it that way.
The lack of votes from the Democratic Party comes largely from the price tag of the economic package, the Build Better Act. Progressives want $3.5 trillion, while key moderates like Senators Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema say that's too much.
We don't talk about it in terms of the number. We talk about it in terms of the needs that we need to meet for the people, in terms of the child tax credit, in terms of making sure that we bring health care costs down, in terms of prescription drugs, making sure that we make it more affordable.
Although President Biden's $1.2 trillion infrastructure package got 19 GOP votes in the Senate in August, its fate in the House is now in question, with Democrats at odds over if it should be linked to the larger spending package.
Bernie Sanders, the far left Democrats are driving the bus, and Joe Biden is just along for the ride.
And some Republicans say the White House's plan will hit Americans in the wallet.
People are feeling the bite of inflation right now when they buy groceries, when they buy gas, all of those things. And they think if this stuff passes, this massive spending and tax bill, that inflation is going to get much worse.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
On Saturday, President Biden signed into law a temporary extension of the Highway Trust Fund. That ensures that close to 4,000 federal workers won't be furloughed after the House wasn't able to pass a bipartisan infrastructure bill that included funding. Some health officials are saying that a new COVID-19 vaccine might be needed to fight off different variants. The CEO of biotech said that the hypothetical vaccine could be needed in the middle of next year. The company believes that the variants will not be affected by the current COVID-19 vaccines or upcoming boosters.
Funeral services were held for a Pittsburgh police officer that died after being exposed to COVID-19. Officer Brian Rowland passed away in St. Clair Hospital last weekend. Rowland was 47 years old and was a 21-year-old veteran of the force stationed in the West End at Zone 6. Officers from around the state came to pay their respects to the late officer.
Downtown Pittsburgh restaurants are now able to welcome back guests, but those that survived the pandemic are struggling to bring in customers. Harris Grill Partners said, quote, "Downtown Pittsburgh is a ghost town. Still to this day, there's no one down here. The narrative that things are back to normal in our industry is just not true," end quote. Sales where he works are reportedly down 70% from 2018 and 2019. According to the National Restaurant Association, quote, "Restaurants throughout the Pittsburgh area are struggling just as much," end quote.
Big news from pharmaceutical giant Merck. The company says interim results from an antiviral pill being tested shows that it significantly reduces the risk of hospitalization and death from COVID-19. Mandy Gaither has the latest in today's Health Minute.
A potential game changer. If authorized, molnupiravir could be the first oral antiviral pill to treat COVID-19.
This is a potential additional tool in our toolbox to protect people from the worst outcomes of COVID.
In experimental trials, pharmaceutical giant Merck tested the pill on at-risk, non-hospitalized adult patients with mild to moderate COVID-19. Of the 385 participants given the pill, 28 were hospitalized and none died, compared to 45 hospitalized and 8 deaths among those who received a placebo. The company says the interim analysis of that trial showed it reduced the risk of hospitalization or death from COVID-19 by half. Merck plans to apply to the FDA for emergency use authorization as soon as possible.
The FDA will look at the data and in their usual, very efficient and effective way, will examine the data as quickly as they possibly can.
Health experts stress the pill is not a vaccine and would not be a replacement for it.
Preventing infections is a much better thing to do than treating them after people have been sick.
Oral antivirals are already essential treatments for viral infections. One of the best known is Tamiflu, prescribed to help shorten the duration of influenza and reduce risk of hospitalization if given quickly. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Merck expects to produce 10 million doses by the end of 2021, with more doses expected to be produced in 2022, the company said in a news release.
The Pennsylvania Department of Education is concerned with a shortage of teachers. Pennsylvania State Education Association Region Advocacy Coordinator Matt Edgell spoke on the shortage, stating the difficulty of finding both substitute and full-time teachers this school year. A spokesperson for the Pennsylvania Department of Education said that to encourage people to pursue a career in teaching, quote, "One initiative we hope to expand through additional federal funds is our Office of Higher Education's Teacher and Principal Residency Program. Through a collaborative process between the K and 12 schools and higher education, promising students and individuals are recruited and supported through a certification program, inclusive of a one-year residency component." End quote.
A school district in Philadelphia ordered pizzas for 400 students after district staff did not report to work. School staff is arguing that it is unfair for them to take the blame since some of them were in attendance. Picking up and ordering pizzas, a letter was sent home to the families of students explaining the situation.
A new TikTok trend has been rampaging through schools, encouraging students to smack teachers. Pittsburgh schools such as Pittsburgh Public School District, Norwin School District, and Steel Valley School District have been encouraging students not to participate in the trend. The school districts have determined that any students participating in the trend entitled Devious Licks will be subject to severe consequences and potentially criminal charges. The districts also sent emails home to parents to encourage students to understand that their actions have consequences.
At 12:40 p.m. on Saturday, a cell phone store in Wilkinsburg was robbed at gunpoint. An armed suspect entered Boost Mobile on Penn Avenue, demanding for a large amount of cash while holding the gun straight at the employee working. After receiving the cash, the suspect ran down the street. The suspect is described as a black male, 5'9", with a thin build. During the robbery, the man was wearing all black. He is considered to be armed and dangerous, so police urge anyone with information to call them. Coming up after the break, a penguin has tested positive for COVID-19.
And Sam Goldberg will be back with the rest of your Pittsburgh sports.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made her college years happen. Opening that education savings account when she was little. Spearheading a campus tour. And another, and another, and another, and another. Bam! Deciphering financial aid. She was like, what? And now she's like, you aced planning for college. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
Jason, let's go see your room.
No, that's not right. How was it? Is it good?
Things could be stranger, but I don't know how. I'm going through changes now. Could spend a lifetime trying to figure it out. I'm going through changes, through all of the strangeness. I'm going through changes now.
The Pittsburgh Penguins forward Jake Gensel tested positive for COVID-19 Saturday morning. The Penguins medical team is monitoring Gensel's condition and assures the NHL's protocols are being followed. On Sunday, Dominic Simon took Gensel's place in the Penguins game versus the Detroit Red Wings. The Penguins ended up beating the Red Wings 5-1. Speaking of the Penguins, they were in action yesterday.
Let's send it over to Sam Goldberg to fill us in. Sam?
Thanks, guys. Well, I'm back. Let's take a look at what happened over the weekend in Pittsburgh sports. The Pirates said goodbye to the 2021 baseball season as they ended their campaign at home against the Cincinnati Reds, in which they would suffer a 6-3 defeat for the final game. However, they would win the series 2-1. A bittersweet ending for the Pirates as they could not sweep any team this season. The Pirates would finish last in their division with a record of 61 wins and 101 losses, just 34 games behind the Brewers. The Penguins are now in full swing as they had a couple of preseason games. First, they collected 2 wins this week as they would beat the Buffalo Sabres by a score of 2-1. Michael Shotput and Dominic Simone both scored goals in the game. Then the Penguins routed the Red Wings by a final score of 5-1. Kasperi Kapanen led the Penguins with 2 goals in the game. Finally, the Pittsburgh Steelers were on the road in Green Bay, and they started off the game strong with a Ben Roethlisberger dot to Deontay Johnson for an early score. But the offense would falter as the Steelers just could not get anything going after the score. The Packers would intercept Ben Roethlisberger one time, and the Steelers would end up losing the game 27-17. Ben Roethlisberger was 26 of 40 on the day for 232 yards with 1 touchdown and 1 interception. Good news though, Najee Harris recorded his first rushing touchdown as a Steeler in the game. The Steelers will be at home against the Broncos next weekend. The game will be at Heinz Field at 1 p.m. That's an eventful weekend for Pittsburgh sports. Let's send it back to the desk. Guys?
An alarming report on the U.S. military this Sunday. According to data from the Department of Defense, suicide rates amongst active duty service members has gone up to more than 40% in 5 years. The data, which was released Thursday, says in 2020 there was a 9.1% increase in the rate for active duty service members. Among reserve members, it went up by 19.2% last year, but has gone down since 2018. And though the rate for National Guard members went up to almost 32%, it has also decreased in the past 2 years. In 2020 alone, 580 members of the military died by suicide. In a statement Thursday, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin said, in part, the findings are troubling and that the trends are not going in the right direction.
A senior Facebook executive said it's crazy to blame his company for the January 6th insurrection. Speaking to CNN on Sunday, Facebook's Vice President of Global Affairs, Nick Clegg, says the blame for the unrest should be placed solely on the ones responsible.
I think if the assertion is that January the 6th can be explained because of social media, I just think that's ludicrous. The responsibility for the violence of January the 6th and the insurrection on that day lies squarely with the people who inflicted the violence and those who encouraged them, including then President Trump and candidly many other people elsewhere in the media who were encouraging the assertion that the election was stolen. And look, I think it gives people false comfort to assume that there must be a technological or a technical explanation for the issues of political polarization.
Clegg was on CNN to push back on the latest report that the company was aware of problems within its platforms.
Doors Open Pittsburgh allows visitors to explore buildings central to the heart of Pittsburgh. Several locales are commonly closed off. However, they are now being opened to the public as part of these tours. There is a total of 30 locations this year, including churches, hotels, theaters, and many other attractions. Visiting these places will be sure to make even somebody who has lived in Pittsburgh their whole life a tourist.
Three Rivers Beer Week will be running from October 6th through October 10th and will be hosted by the Pittsburgh Brewers Guild. The event begins on Tuesday, October 6th from 6 to 10 p.m. at the Pennsylvanian downtown with an event dubbed The First Pour. Local brewers will be participating in a beer share, and music by DJ Ari Cole will be occurring. Opening night will begin with a collaboration between the Pittsburgh Brewers Guild and Asheville Brewers Alliance in North Carolina. Food will be available for purchase opening night. We'll begin with a collaboration between the Pittsburgh Brewers Guild and Asheville Brewers Alliance in North Carolina. Tickets are available for $50.
So, following next week, when we come back from break, we're going to break now.
doesn't see race. Love is love.
What are you doing in there?
What's that?
I wouldn't do that. What are you doing? What are you looking for?
How prepared is your family if a hurricane shows up at your doorstep, or a flood, or a blizzard? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan now. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes.
Make a plan today.
Following up with a story from last week.
If there's anyone who knows the skies better than Kodiak the Eagle, it's Jackie Rasta.
Following up with a story from last week, Kodiak, the stellar sea eagle that went missing from the National Aviary, has been found and is now safely back at the aviary. Kodiak was spotted in Pine Township on Sunday, to which aviary officials were able to safely capture the bird. To the vet's relief, Kodiak is in completely unharmed condition. After ruffling the feathers of those worried about him, Kodiak is resting comfortably in the behind-the-scenes area of the aviary.
If there's anyone who knows the skies better than Kodiak the Eagle, it's Jackie Rasta.
Let's send it over to her now to hear what the weather will look like this week.
Welcome back to weather. Let's take another look. Today is going to be a high of 72 degrees with a low of 61, 95% humidity and 40% chance of rain. For tomorrow's forecast, it's going to be again a high of 72 with a low of 61, 95% humidity and 60% chance of rain. For this week, it's going to look pretty well with sun on Wednesday at a high of 78 degrees and a low of 61. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday might get rained out, with Thursday at a high of 76 degrees and a low of 61 degrees. Friday is going to be a high of 73 degrees and a low of 61 degrees, and Saturday is going to be a high of 71 degrees and a low of 45 degrees. Sunday is going to be a lot better at a high of 75 degrees and a low of 58 degrees with some sun and clouds. Let's go back to the desk.
That's all for us here on RMU Live. For Jackie Rasta and Sam Goldberg, I'm Aaron Fryer.
And I'm Julia Wozleski. We will see you next week.